Welcome back to Classy and Chic Gems podcast. My name is Anita and I'm your host and founder. And I'm so glad to be talking to you on this 4th day of January. Yes, I've been showing up and I know y'all are about to be sick of me by the end of the month. I'm just kidding. But yeah, God has put a lot of things on my heart and I hope that you enjoy hearing about the things that He's been putting on my heart. But first of all, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you are listening to this when you have time and you're winding down for the day. Or maybe you're going somewhere and you have a minute where you can listen to somebody goofy talk to you. Because I'm going to tell y'all, I have the goofiest personality. I love to laugh. I love to smile. And I am just super, super lighthearted. I'm not goofy all of the time. I know when to be serious, but I enjoy laughter. I enjoy a little bit of funny. So I'm definitely one of these people that I make the most out of life. So yeah, that's more about me. But I want to talk to you about moments today. We have a lot of moments in our life that are defining moments. And then sometimes we have moments where they are moments that kind of help us move through what we're going through. And sometimes we have embarrassing moments. Sometimes we have funny moments, whatever it may be. So I think that some of our embarrassing moments and funny moments are the very things that keep us humble. And so, yes, I'm going to share some of my humbling stories today, and hopefully you will get a good laugh out of it because I know I was embarrassed at the time. And I'm probably going to be embarrassed telling the story, but it is what it is. Okay. All right. So I would probably say I've had several embarrassing moments, but this is probably the top one. And it is too funny now. But at the time, I was probably just so horrified about what had happened. So I was on the campus of my alma mater, and my brother had lived in this dorm whenever he went there as well. And so they were remodeling. They had finished this brand new dorm. And so I was taking a picture. I wanted to take a picture to send it to him. And I don't know, I was with my parents. We had gone somewhere. And so my mom was like, be careful when you get out. Don't just jump out because you're not going to gain your footing, because you're going to jump out and try to take a picture and your mind's on. And I'm like, okay, Mom. And, when I get out in a hurry. And all I really remember is my feet, like, I don't know if they twisted up or whatever, but my feet got tangled up. And so all I remember seeing is like, I'm about to hit the pavement. And so I'm sitting here trying to make a decision like, okay, am I going to let my knees hit the pavement? Or because otherwise it's going to be my face and my head, and then my phone's going to go in this drain. So I decided to let my knees hit and brace myself where my face and my head wouldn't hit the pavement. And I somehow just held onto my phone by the skin of my teeth. I don't know how, but my phone did not go in this drain. And so by this point, my parents had parked the car. And my mom's like, Anita, I told you that you needed to get out slowly. And I was like, Mom, I thought I did. And my dad was rolling. He was like, yeah, there was somebody in a car over there, and they probably have you on a video on the internet now, and you're probably going viral. I said, thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. So anyway, I get up, and my knees are skint up, and they're like swollen, both of them. They look horrible. And so I figure, okay, I can go home and rest this off. Well, went home, put some ice on my knees, thinking that they would heal up. And they did not. Overnight, like my knees, both of them started turning darker. And so I was like, okay, I need to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor asked me, he said, why didn't you go to the emergency room? I said, do you think I wanted to explain that story to the emergency room doctors? There's no way that I was trying to go in the emergency room and explain this story. Like, how did you get injured? Oh, I fell over my own feet. I mean, hey, just happened like that. I had on tennis shoes and I still fell over my own feet. Like, I did not want to explain that. Okay. So anyway, he started telling me, he was like, well, you could have gotten like an infection in your legs and all this because of everything that's on the pavement. And so I just started thinking, well, goodness, what in the, because I didn't think of that. I was like, oh, well, hey, I will recuperate, right? I knew that I would heal up. Well, fast forward, it took me at least, 4 to 6 weeks. It might have been longer than that to heal up because I had to put this cream on my legs and then they were still swollen and one of them was worse than the other. And so when I would go anywhere, people would ask me, what happened? So I'm sitting up here trying to like not say anything or either tell them just a funny story to make them laugh and, tell them that's not the real story, but I'm not trying to tell you the real story because it was embarrassing to me. And I tell you what, that definitely humbled me because, I was thinking to myself, I said, well, I can heal up quickly and there will be nothing wrong. I can heal up and be just as good as new the next day. And so when I didn't, I was thinking, wow, well, why would it take this long for me to heal up? But what I didn't realize is, when I fell directly on both of my kneecaps. And so I don't know why I wasn't thinking about the fact that just that impact would cause me to be down a little bit. Like I would have to have some time where I was out of the gym and I had to, heal up and just basically ice it and just rest both of my legs. Well, I want to parallel that with something. Whenever we encounter situations in life, we have some embarrassing situations that we walk through in this life, and the more that we sit there and think about those situations, or let me switch it a tiny bit. We have hurtful situations that have happened to us in this life. And so at some point they turn into embarrassing situations for us because then that shame starts to come in because we walk through that, right? And so I think whenever something hurtful or embarrassing happens, then you start to have different things that filter in, like how the doctor talked about bacteria could have gotten in my knees and my legs. And so, I think about it like this. Whenever we have something that is hurtful and it turns into a shameful event, that is bacteria trying to creep in, literally. That's something that is trying to creep in, that's toxic, that's trying to twist the way that we feel about ourselves and twist the relationship that we have with the Lord, right? So if the devil can distract us and make us feel like we're ashamed of who we are, then that's a game changer. Because after that, then we begin to think, well, wait a minute, I don't have to pray as much as I used to before because God's upset with me. I don't have to go and make anything right because God's not going to hear me anyway. I don't know if y'all are hearing me, but I think the thing is, the more that we walk in shame, the more that we will never, ever grow properly as a Christian. That incident for me was something that was humbling because it just helped me realize, okay, you can't do everything that you used to do before. Like in my 20s, I would have healed up and probably bounced up and then been back in the gym the next day. But it was a different circumstance. But I want you to realize something. Every single hardship that you go through and the things that you've walked through that have made you feel like you are less than, those things can be turned around if you give it to God. There should be no shame because of what you've walked through. There should be no embarrassment because you are where you are now because of the things that have happened to you. You know, we've all had things that are hurtful and embarrassing or whatever it may be happen to us. But how we choose to deal with it after that event is what defines us, right? You know, I can tell you this. I feel like whenever I was diagnosed with colitis at 17, it was one of the hardest things for me because I was someone who was super, super active, and I was probably in every club at school. I was in dance, I was in pageants, and, you know, I mean, you name it, like I modeled and all of those things. And so I began to think about, okay, how is this going to change my life in the future? Because I'm not going to be able to do all these things, you know? And so I also began to think about my college plans, like what I would have to do differently, because I wanted to go away to college and my doctor suggested that I stay a little bit closer to my family just in case I got sick, because I was getting sick all of the time. Now, what could have happened is I could have grown into a place where I felt ashamed of this disease that I had. Now, I did not cause myself to get this disease. No one that has colitis or Crohn's causes themselves to get that. It is something that happens that, you know, they can't explain it. So for me to walk in shame, that would have been the wrong thing. So what I had to realize was I would soon begin to walk in an area that was different for me, but God was going to take me places if I trusted in Him. Now, if I didn't trust in Him, I would fall back into this hole and I would feel shame. You know, I don't think you understand the weight of the things that you're carrying around with you sometimes, because I feel like whenever you carry around things that are too heavy, shame comes in, doubt comes in, negativity comes in, toxicity comes in. But whenever you are able to lighten that load, your life changes. Your life changes. And you might say, well, look, I don't know how to get out of this place where I feel ashamed. Well, I'm about to tell you. You know, I think that life is filled with moments that definitely make us wait or they make us ache. And so that's what the walk of a Christian looks like. You know, that's what faith happens. That's how faith happens in our lives. You know, we don't always get everything that we want right away. You know, sometimes you might pray 40, 50 years for something and then it comes to you and you are so excited because it's there, but it took faith and waiting and praying and all of those things. But I think right there in the middle of while you're walking through and you're waiting or whatever it is that you're doing in that circumstance, you have to realize that God has not moved. You know, a lot of times we feel like, well, where is God? How come God is not answering right now? It's not because He moved. It is because we moved. Either we moved back some or we moved out of His direction. You know, sometimes we want to drive the car ourselves and we don't want to know where we're going. We don't want to know where we're going because then we have to surrender everything to God. But I can tell you this, there's so much peace found in knowing that you can trust in God throughout every single thing that you are walking through. And I can tell you this, even in my own life, there's been things that I've prayed about and God has given me peace about it. I mean, like when I prayed, He continued to give me peace. And I learned how to walk through it with that peace, no matter what it was looking like on the physical side of things in the natural eye. In the supernatural realm, He had given me peace. So I walked in that. And whenever you walk in that, you trust that God is going to work it out. Because you're not always going to pray and get an immediate answer of what you need to be doing, because sometimes the devil wants to jump into. And if he can infiltrate and make you feel like, oh, no, that's not the answer, that's not the right thing, then he will. He will make you feel like you are not supposed to be praying for this, or you're not supposed to be believing God for this. But today is the day that you let go of every single thing that makes you feel shame. So I'm going to call out some things, and I hope that if this applies to you, that it is something that you're able to be set free from. And I want to be praying with you about